As I watched my husband David pack my things into cardboard boxes from the driveway, the rain drummed against my car windows. His mother, Patricia, was standing smugly in our doorway, finally triumphant after 2 years of attempting to ruin our marriage. "I can't believe you lied to me." "Just hours," David had stated. "Mom showed me everything, including your car registration to a parking lot," and his voice was laced with hurt and betrayal earlier. "You seem suspicious. Even bank transfers and pictures of you sleeping in your car show that you are not a software expert but rather a homeless person who was taking advantage of me for money." If only he had known the truth, the suspicious. The car registration was for my corporate parking space at Jong Industries' secure facility, the transfers were to my father's medical research foundation, and the pictures of me sleeping in my car were taken during my overnight surveillance shifts, watching possible corporate espionage. But I was unable to disclose any of these details to him. "That hasn't happened yet, David. 5 years ago, my father was still hunting down those who had attempted to kill him and ruin our business. For that reason, I called out for my car and told Sarah Patricia how you deceived my son with your depressing tales about your... He knew there was no record of a Sarah Jang working as a software engineer anyplace in the city, so I had you look into it. Dead father, how can you say you work for some enigmatic tech business but never show in your office?" She came over to my car with heels clicking on the wet sidewalk. "A homeless lady who has dated rich men in the past, Dad has warned me that someone would begin looking into my background, so I tightened my grasp on the driving wheel to fight back tears. The investigation must have been the reason our security procedures erased my digital footprint. Actually, our Patricia persisted in leaning towards my window, a gold-digging con artist who believed she could defraud my son. Well, guess what? I win David's divorce, and you won't get a dime of our family's wealth." Patricia was unaware that her family's wealth was insignificant in comparison to what I truly... As I watched David carry the final box inside my secure phone, my phone buzzed with a message that would change everything. My deceased father was still alive and working undercover to expose a corporate espionage ring that had almost destroyed us 5 years prior. Jong Industries was the heir of one of the biggest technology conglomerates in Asia. Every operation is finished. After 5 years, tech billionaire Michael Jang goes to Jang Industries stock stores, and the news alert that made my heart stop was that it was time to show them who you truly are, Dad. When Patria saw the headline on my window, she was still sulking. My phone in a split second, her expression changed from smug to shocked. "Jang Industries, but you're just homeless, so that's not possible." The sound of helicopter blades cut her off as a sleek black helicopter bearing the Jang Industries emblem descended upon their well-tended yard. Caused a debris storm to blow across Patricia's prized garden of roses when the airplane door opened. David hurried outside to protect his eyes from the swirling wind, and my father emerged in his fitted suit and silver hair, just as he had 5 years prior. Maintained that warm, recognizable smile on his face. Behind him, a group of somber-looking individuals in dark suits dispersed over the grounds. He called out to Sarah, utterly disregarding Patricia and David. "Are you okay, my love?" "Dad, the rain was soaking through my clothes when I got out of my automobile." Patricia's expression alternated between dread, bewilderment, and shock, yet your deceased, Mrs. Harrison's father's voice grew icy as the investigation revealed that Sarah's father had died in a car accident 5 years prior and that she had no permanent address or work history. He grinned, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Your investigation was extremely thorough, but regrettably, you were looking into the cover story." David appeared with a lost cover story. "What's happening?" "Maybe Dad said we should keep talking inside unless Mrs. Harrison wants to talk about her relationship to Harrison Technologies." Patricia's face became white in the rain. "Our largest is Harrison Technologies." "I'm not sure what you're talking about," she stammered, but Dad pulled out a tablet with documents that made Patria sway on her feet. "Maybe then you could explain why you've been meeting with your brother, James Harrison, the competitor and the company behind the attempted takeover that forced Dad into hiding." Every Tuesday, David's head turned towards his mother at the Crown Hotel. "It's the same James Harrison who planned my death 5 years ago. What is he talking about? It's all falsehoods." When Patria screamed that she was the liar living in her car and feigning poverty, I finally raised my voice. "Stable, pictures of me sleeping in my car were taken while I was watching your meetings with Harrison Technology executives. The parking lot registration is for the secure underground facility where we've been following your brother's corporate espionage operation. I never pretended to be impoverished." Playing on the iPad that Dad has using her son's marriage to gain access to the hair of their main opponent, David Dad, Patricia passes sensitive papers to her brother in order to organize the inside takeover of Jang Industries. In addition to being a worried parent, your mother has participated in a... For years, you were involved in a corporate espionage ring. When you married my daughter, Patricia frantically ran for her car, but she didn't get so far before the somber-looking man in a suit moved with trained efficiency to block her escape. A recognizable voice shouted out to Mrs. Harrison, "Or should I?" Agent Harrison says, "I think your CIA credentials are the subject of some of our inquiries." When federal agents arrived to arrest Patricia, I saw something odd in her eyes. Not fear, but triumph. "You really think everything is over?" She chuckled, "And you have no idea why." The federal agents had come from unmarked cars parked around the house. Know what's actually happening. And why do you think I'm trying so hard to leave our marriage today? In particular, Dad's phone buzzed with several alerts all of a sudden. As he read them, his face darkened. He told Sarah that today wasn't just any day. It was the day when Jang Industries was meant to check the house immediately, declare its groundbreaking quantum computing discovery, and Patricia's frantic plan to keep me away from David suddenly made dreadful sense. With Dad's security team in tow, I hurried into the house and made my way directly to my home office. The door was jarred and latched as I left, and my laptop was safe. David's words came from behind me as he stood in the doorway with my laptop and drives, his expression unreadable, and my backup drives were gone. I remarked gently, "David, you don't understand what you're holding." He responded, "I understand perfectly." And then he touched a series of keys. My heart stopped when I saw the initialization sequence for our quantum encryption prototype on my laptop. "How did you know the sequence?" He grinned sincerely since I was involved in its design. "Does Project Phoenix sound familiar to you?" "Sarah, should I give you a call?" Behind him, John Dad showed up, and for the first time in my life, I saw genuine terror in his eyes. "Your father, who works in counterintelligence, said softly." David, a CIA deep cover tasked to monitor both sides, nodded. He had spent 5 years following Harrison Technologies' speech, 3 years studying the Jang Industries quantum computing program, and 2 years recording his voice. When I was falling in love with Michael for years, the atmosphere felt as though the air had been forced out. Was it all true? I whispered everything. Every time, David responded, "That's what makes this so difficult," and he went to my father. "Your quantum competitive innovation, Mr. Jane, is not just regenerative. It is also risky. We created it for medical research." Dee protested for predicting protein folding, discovering medicines, and what happens when someone like Harrison Technology grabs it. In the wrong hands, it could break every military encryption on the Earth. In response, David said, "Your sister-in-law, Patricia, is a front, not merely a corporate spy." For a global technological company, they have been involved in both Harrison Technologies and Jang Industries, who were waiting for this time when all of a sudden, more security alerts began to sound on my workplace screens. Flash from Jang Industries' current global facilities. David kept up his simultaneous raids are occurring at all JN facilities throughout the world, and international authorities are seizing your technology's quantum computing data because it poses a national security concern. Am I right, Mother? I questioned, and the pieces are now falling into place. I enjoyed deep cover Sia's arrest outside the theater. The house's lights went out, and gas began to seep through the ventilation system. "I apologize," David said, pulling on a gas cannon. Giving her cover to flee with the real target, which is David's face, softened you, Sarah. They don't just want the technology, they want the person who can rebuild it from memory. Mask, but you're both joining us. As my vision began to haze, I noticed more people in tactical gear entering the room, but David, my dad, was grinning strangely. He said calmly, "Did you really think we didn't know about you, about Patricia, about everything?" When I regained consciousness, I noticed that Dad was pressing his watch before I passed out and that the floor underneath us was beginning to shake. I was at a recognizable location, the actual Jang Industries Command Center, which is located 50 stories below our Hong Kong headquarters, rather than a CIA black site as I had anticipated. "Welcome back." "My dear," a new voice remarked. My mother walked in very much alive despite having gas. I had opened my eyes to see my dad sitting quietly at a control panel next to him, chained to a chair, but very much awake. David fought against his bonds, and the tactical team all heard him struggle. claimed to have passed away when I was a toddler. Did you honestly believe that the CIA was the only agency capable of conducting a deep cover operation? Sullivan's mother was precisely as I recalled, except she was older and in some ways more powerful. She was dressed in an executive suit from Jang Industries rather than the tactical gear from before. You see, Dad outlined how we established a triple-blind operation since we knew the CIA was interested in our quantum computing project from the start, just as we knew about Harrison Technology infiltration attempts. The display surrounding us illuminated, displaying years' worth of surveillance film. David's hiring. Patricia attends all of her meetings. Sarah's homelessness was a cover-up, but not for the reasons you believed. As you were looking into her, she allowed you to do so while managing the actual quantum computing project from a different location. The prototype you see is where I eventually spoke mine. The voice course served as a ruse. 6 months ago, when we were married, David's face revealed the first crack in his professional demeanor. I did love you, I murmured softly, but I also understood who you were from the day we met. That was the true breakthrough. All we needed to do was flush our players. Since I picked you, David, rather than the other way around, Agency Mom added Sullivan to his class at Langley, and he has a remarkable record. His deep cover credentials are perfect, making him the kind of person we wanted to look over our daughter while we finished the actual project. Dad hit a button on screens all over the world. Showed the stock of the Jang industry rising as we revealed not only a breakthrough in quantum competition, but also a full quantum encryption platform that would prevent unauthorized surveillance. As you can see, Dad grinned, everyone did their part flawlessly, and the CIA got their operation thinking they were shutting down risky technology. Wade glanced at me with pride as Harrison Technologies believed they were getting close to their goal. We changed the course of global communications. What happens now? David inquired quietly, so I got up and walked over to him. It depends on you because everything else was calculated and dropping. It wasn't the plan to fall in love with you, and now you have an option. Mom gave me a Jang Industry security badge and a key to his shackles. You can review the CIA report to see what transpired and watch your career go when they see how thoroughly they were outplayed or had let the bad Ed. You can join us for, he questioned, and I leaned in close. This time, no more lies or coverings, so why should I trust you? Since no one else has the truth or a choice, I'm whispering because I'm offering you the one thing. A year later, secure communications have been transformed by the Jang Industries quantum platform. Our counterintelligence is headed by David. I continue to drive the same car, but now everyone knows who I really am. Sometimes on late nights at work, David and I look back at our relationship. Division is using his CIA experience to protect what we built. Patricia and her brother are in federal custody. It turns out even the CIA doesn't like being double-crossed. Wedding pictures and chuckle about how many spies were present, including mine and at least 3 other agencies. Mom says that true love can endure anything, even international espionage. Dad says that trust is based on the truth, even if it takes some time for it to be revealed. In my opinion, the best operations are the best. Connections based on comprehension, not only of who someone seems to be, but also of who they truly are behind all the masks and codes, and sometimes the best security is in what you choose to disclose rather than what you keep hidden.